Someone saw my previous video and messaged me on Instagram telling me how they're in a similar situation as the TF2 girl, but worse. He was like, Aku, I feel like I was born to fail and be useless. I was born with a medical disability. I've been crippled my whole life. Because of my disability, I've had weight problems my whole life. Every time someone meets me or I tell them my problems, people treat me like a child, and it makes me feel useless. He also told me he had, quote, severe autism, and basically he feels like he is genuinely useless to society because of his burdens. So he said he felt bad for the TF2 girl and her situation, but it also frustrated him because he hasn't been lucky with things in life. He's basically telling me that he wants to die. A lot of people give this answer of like, you got to learn acceptance, bro. You know, it's very easy to say that. As someone who isn't physically disabled, is very easy, right? I don't know why people are so quick to say that to others. Yes, I get it. The first step to overcoming grief and disappointment is acceptance. But it's not that easy when you're constantly reminded of it and you see others having to invest their time, energy, and stress over dealing with something you never wanted to happen. I'm not trying to encourage not getting counseling or therapy for this grief, right? But I just think having a disability that constantly gets in the way is not just something you can be like, oh, I'm just like this. My life is my life. Yeah, you may feel that way to an extent, but you can't stop the thoughts at the back of your mind about everything. We oversimplify the challenges of living with a disability. Now, debatably, an example, some people feel like autism is considered a disability. Others don't feel that way. My ex, her brother has autism. She would get very animated and she had a very strong opinion about the topic because he got bullied for his ways a lot. Yet this guy is almost a millionaire. He likes building computers and does cybersecurity or something. I forgot what her brother does. He like runs a business. He's really smart. And she accredits this to his autism. But others will disagree. And others feel like their autism gets in the way of them having a normal social life or a normal life in general. We're in a culture right now. Well, it's been like this for the past 10 years or so. We're in a time space in society where acceptance of people's differences are more tolerated now. We have cultures where we push ideas of accepting one's differences. Like there's a huge culture behind autism acceptance, and that's great, in my opinion at least. But the thing about acceptance culture is that we overlook that accepting something is not a single mindset. It's an ongoing process that requires constantly navigating through social, emotional, and physical challenges. Saying to somebody who is facing disability or a condition, just accept it, learn acceptance, bro, it completely disregards the continuous impact having a disability has on your life. A few videos ago, your Chad genetics won't save you, I was mentioning how I struggle with maintaining relationships because I struggled with borderline for a long time. If I'm medicated, I get zombied out and I have zero emotion and personality. I also get very cold and insensitive. If I'm not medicated, I'm extremely chaotic and unpredictable. I can't express anymore how deeply how terrible I feel as a human being because I feel so incompatible with people romantically. I won't even say just romantically, dude. The amount of times I've stressed people out or overwhelmed people, friends, family, and significant others, because my unpredictable emotions, so I just feel like a terrible person at times. And it's interesting because I've accepted that I'm not well, and I'm self-aware of it. But like I said, there's an ongoing reminder and concurrency about my headspace and emotions that I feel like I can't be myself. Otherwise, I'm somehow going to stress someone out or hurt someone because I'm overwhelming them. It feels like a burden. Anybody who has a sort, quote, disability or mental condition or illness, watching this video or listening, whatever, you know what I'm talking about when I say it feels like you can never achieve independence. Every day, your own body or mind is constantly fighting with you, and you can't maintain without external support. And that support you rely on, it doesn't have to be people. Sometimes it is, but it doesn't have to be. Some people, they drink, smoke. Some people rely on meds. Some people have other addictions, especially those involving adult content they can't stop watching and going off to. Some people rely on zoning out and disconnecting from reality through playing video games all day and procrastinating just to avoid dealing with the inevitable in life. And don't get it twisted. I don't personally think, and some of you may disagree, but having these dependencies, it's not a weakness in you, but what it is a full loss, is a loss of full autonomy and constantly finding yourself stuck in dependencies. I truly envy those who are able to maintain themselves without having an addicting personality, because a lot of people don't realize how lucky they are to be able to maintain themselves and navigate through things without constant mental health interruptions or other limitations, such as a physical disability. Some people, they're able to be independent, like financially, they could pay their own bills. They got their own place. Everything is under their name, and that's cool and great. But some of these people also, they may struggle with their own social or relationship life, or they have dependency issues involving other people. They get lonely. When you feel like you can never achieve independence, you feel like you're just like plugged into some matrix or something. I don't believe true happiness is ever completely achievable. I think we only live through moments of joy and elated feelings because we always have something in the back of our mind that stresses us out and keeps us paranoid and so forth, right? So even though I'm saying all this stuff, I'm not implying just because, oh, I got this condition and that person has that condition or situation, no one else suffers but me. That's not true. Everyone has their own problems and situations. Sadly, some people make it a competition. Like, oh, my problems are the worst. Listen, you may say that objectively because your problems may be, a lot worse than other people, okay? I get it. But don't make it a contest. You're entitled to feel how you feel and express it. But what you have to deal with doesn't necessarily account for your worth. I was going off on myself earlier in this video, right? About how I said I feel like a terrible person. But I don't ever feel I'm worthless. I have imperfections that hold me back, for sure. But I'm still going to do my work. My labor. Yeah, I feel a way about myself, but I'm not going to do nothing, bro. Doing nothing is the real problem. Once you do nothing, now you're genuinely digging a grave for yourself. You're just making everything worse. Yo, people with disabilities or any mental illness or condition, y'all are like the most creative people because you guys live a life in a different perspective. You guys have no choice but to see life differently because those were the cards you were given to play. If you feel like you have little to no skill set or you have nothing going on because your conditions hold you back, I would suggest, if you don't mind, starting a creative hobby. And don't be afraid to put it out there because even though it may be different because, again, you live in a different world, it gives another perspective on things that normal people don't see. And that could build empathy from other people because they see that you're different. They see what you may be going through, what you express, what's in your mind. And that will always grab someone else's attention. And yo, not everyone expresses their problems or opens up about it. But the thing is this, and this goes back to the main topic of this video. Regardless of who you are, the conditions you have, whether it be physical or mental, something that doesn't always occur, but definitely would be nice, is constantly knowing that the people around you love you for who you are. And oftentimes, people don't do that. People don't get that reception. Therefore, the feelings you have and the pain you're going through emotionally and feeling social stigmas are bothering you, listen, that pain you feel is very valid. And what we constantly forget as a society is reversing perspectives. The individual I spoke about in the beginning of this video who is physically disabled and he says that his autism is holding him back. Whoever's watching, if that was you, wouldn't you want a better reception from people? Instead of just, other people being judgmental all the time, right? I know a lot of people will disagree with this, so here's an unpopular opinion for y'all. But I think it's completely fine that someone's mental health or physical disabilities is a valid reason for them to receive constant validation. Some people need genuine acceptance from others to not not literally, but figuratively survive. Imagine living in a world where you're constantly challenged by microaggressions and barriers just so you can be understood and to feel loved. That's why I feel that way. I feel like some people, they are entitled to constant validation because that's the card. Unfortunately, they just live it rougher, you know? Call it insecurity though, all you want. Say that person is weak, all you want. But people have different needs. It's a terrible feeling to be constantly reminded of your shortcomings or be perceived through it. Instead, we should just empathize more. We also have to consider something I should have mentioned earlier in this video, but I think it was very much implied so far, right? Even though the disability or condition is a problem, a major factor that we just blame on other things is simply adopting severe depression because of who you are. And once you become depressed, your perspective on yourself becomes distorted to the point where you feel limited. You feel yourself you feel like you already know you have flaws, but depression will stunt your emotional growth completely. You know what I'm saying? It will just magnify everything. And listen, then you end up feeling like you feel less deserving as a person. Just because you have a condition, it doesn't mean you don't have basic human rights like everyone else. And again, it's messed up because when you have depression, you already know you're messed up and have flaws, but depression will magnify every mistake you make and every flaw you have. And then you keep recognizing this magnified issue of your mistakes and flaws. You end up putting a ceiling on yourself due to it. Look, in conclusion to everything, for the guy I mentioned in this video about his disabilities and so forth right in the beginning, and for anyone else watching this who has maybe a condition, an illness, or anything of the sort, again, your pain is very valid. Feeling pain in this instance is a natural response to dealing with difficulties. Even though acceptance is a way to handle it, it's not that black and white. And it's not the only way to grow, because if you're not ready to embrace acceptance yet, we have to look at things from a deeper perspective. Unfold the layers a little bit more. Like how I mentioned the depression. Like how I mentioned finding passions and hobbies, because your life is in a different perspective. That you may find things that you can see happiness inside of. But doing absolutely nothing is not going to resolve anything. If you never do anything, nothing's ever going to change. And then you don't really make things in life meaningful because, again, you're not doing anything to make that. And I've been in situations where, and I get this side too, and I'm not saying this is a wrong feeling. I've been in situations where I don't have the motivation to make things better, right? Because, look, I've been there several times, especially where I don't know what to do to fix my situations or make things better, right? I'm very harsh on myself. So because of this, sometimes this makes me procrastinate. It's really interesting. I'm so critical of myself at times that it makes me end up having no motivation to fix things or work because I feel like I'm gonna keep making mistakes or I'm just gonna make everything worse, right? But one thing that tends to get me back on track is I stopped trying to be ambitious about my happiness. Like, for example, I'll start doing little things that I enjoy, nothing major. Even I feel like I can't enjoy anything, I find something light to entertain me or grab my attention. And once that happens, I start noticing everything else becomes more easy for me to the point where I eventually get back on track. That's what personally works for me, but it never happens overnight, you know? Like, that period of getting back on track may take me weeks to a month. Sometimes I just get randomly depressed and I don't have any motivation, but I got to start, let me just one step at a time. I got to do the very small things that grab my attention. But it is what it is, whatever. Maybe it might help you or anyone watching. I wouldn't put my ambitions too high so quickly, especially when it comes to happiness, which I shared earlier, I don't think is truly possible. I'm not saying be negative and depressing because I could never be happy. But you get what I mean. You can find joy and start accumulating multiple things that bring you joy, and then you'll naturally find yourself in a better mental space. And even though you may not find yourself independent, This is exactly why I said what I said earlier. I don't think that's a weakness. I hope this makes sense. This episode is found on, well, actually, let me hold on before I even cut that off. I just want to actually clarify something, because when I say that this is why I don't think it's a weakness, I feel like everything has to be done in moderation, though. Okay, so let me just point that out. Okay, because if you feel like you have an addicting personality and this is how you handle your depression, and you find joy in certain things that are very distracting and that push away from your full autonomy, again, it should always be in moderation. I wouldn't go to the extreme with everything, because then you just completely end up losing yourself. Anyway, sorry. This episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. Times Square.
Nightmare 7 a.m. in the morning though. No surprise. Times Square's you and I under those lights. No disguise. Don't tell me everything you wanted was a lie. All those city lights, it's an endless night. Never expected you to bring me so much life. Close my eyes too long, then it's time to say goodbye. Let's dance all night until the stars don't show glow. Till the sunrise, then we go solo. Making up for all the times that we were low. Let's make some memories before we do go. Let's dance all night until the stars don't show glow. Till the sunrise, then we go solo. Making up for all the times that we were low. Let's make some memories before we do go. Caution. Wait a moment, keep my heart locked away, it's filled with emotion. Gave the key to you, right in front of you is open. Hey, try your best to not leave it broken. Oh, it's been a while since you know it's frozen.